Our other vamp has areas that need beading that are not round, so we're going to use a line in order to make a container for the beads to go inside. And so we have to start from the back side, just like the other vamp. We're going to start right in the corner of that one shape and pull our needle through there. And then we're going to put on, oh, but see this one, it wants to pull through in that corner. It doesn't want to stay there. So we're just going to take a little stitch or two just to secure that so that it doesn't come through. So just take 2 stitches, 2 tiny little stitches, and that'll be just as strong as a knot. Then we put 4 beads on there. We go down through the we go down through the end one. We just line them up on the back line and go down through, come back up through the second one, in between the second and the third, and then we're going to pick up those last 2 beads, and then we're going to now add, instead of adding 2 more, we're going to add 4. Okay, so you add 4, you go down into the vamp, you come back up through where the second is, you pick up 2, then you add 4 more, and you just continue that on, always making sure that you're keeping where your line is. I push the beads back before I push them back together before I decide where the needle is going to come back through, and I check the back side to make sure it's on the line before I commit to pulling my needle through. Then I come back in through the top between the second and third, and then I pick up those 2, those last 2. Now I'll add 4 more, and I'll continue on like that until the shape is finished being closed. Every time I load the beads, I spin it in that little pot. And so that's just what it is. I just go all the way along the line until the shape is closed in, and then it'll be filled in later. Just keep the beads tight in a line. Find where the line has to be on the other side. Don't let them get too loose or too tight. Just snug them and figure out where that point is where your needle is going to go down into the vamp. Align it with the line on the bottom, pull it through, and then when you come back up, you're going to come up between the second and third. So once you're finished putting the beads in the outline, then you start filling the insides. But right now, before we do that, we're just straightening out the outline because some beads have extra large holes, and so they don't line up all that well. They look pretty jaggedy, and a good way to correct that is to line the insides by just running your threaded needle back and forth through those sections so that they line up. Once the holes of larger beads, well, these are small beads, but the holes are large. So once the larger holes are filled, the beads will line up nicely, and it'll just give a cleaner and nicer look because the lines will flow. They'll curve the way that you intended them to. So this is what we're doing right now. Just keep going along. You just go through the lines of beads with your threaded needle, and this time rather than using a single thread, because generally we're just using a single thread in our needle, you can double your thread so that it goes faster and fills that hole quicker so that it lines up the beads before you start filling the inside of it with more rows. So generally what I do, if I'm doing a round shape like a rosette, I start with the bead in the center and I work my way out. If I'm doing other shapes that I'm very familiar with, such as, for example, buds, then I will put 4 beads in a line and develop that bud outside of those 4 beads. That comes with practice. With shapes that are not even, like this shape, it's better to do an outline of the shape and then fill the bead in. Fill the shape in. The way that you fill that shape in is up to you. You can go in rows from the outside inward, or you can just put columns of beads all even in any direction, like in one particular direction if you want. There's no hard and fast rule, and no two groups of people bead the same. For example, the Iroquois have a very distinctive bead style where the beads are multi-textured and they appear multi-layered because they sit higher above the fabric. Other tribes have beadwork that is very much close to the fabric. Some are secured more compactly and others are more loosely secured, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. We're just showing you the way that we do it, and hopefully it helps somebody out there that wants to try. So just keep going into the channels. This also works really good for stems that you want to straighten. Just filling in those channels if they're not straight will help line them up, and then they'll just appear more smooth in their flow.